actually feel safe enough to hear another American's, point of view without it becoming disparaging of either side, right? Because there's no communication happening then. You know what I'm saying?
Understandable. Absolutely. I do have a few minutes as well. I would love to interact with you and share some ideas and see if there's a common ground, see if there's anything that we can learn from each other or teach each other. Because I think it's important that we communicate, because we all want to be acknowledged. Exactly. We all want to express ourselves, and we don't want to be misunderstood.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me see if.
So it's your show. Is it? So what's the? I understand the premise, but is it just a one-on-one conversation, or are you going to add more people, or how do you want?
I'm going to be really honest. I haven't done this before. So usually my lives are just me sharing breath work. But I've been watching some lives lately where people come up and talk, and I like that. And I would like to be able to do that. But I'll be honest, I don't really know how to keep adding people, because I just had Brandon on here. And then as soon as I tried to add you, somehow ended up getting rid of him. So yeah, more people are welcome to come up if they can invite themselves or something. Yeah. Figure out how to invite them or something. But
I can speak from experience.
Go ahead and I would love to hear things that are important to you without it being about either side, and making it more about, as a human being, what's important to you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, my point of view is not biased. It's not selfish. It's more about serving others, being of service to everyone and everything. Looking for the best in myself and in others, in every situation, every circumstance. How can I make it better for all of us? Unity and self-sovereignty and reconciliation amongst humanity is very important. There's separation, there's nationalism, there's Americans, there's all these labels, and what that does, it divides us. That's the duality of it. I understand that you're into breath work, which is amazing, and I've done that for many years. And I understand that you're trying to reach out to individuals to try to get your name out there. We have to make money to survive, to pay our obligations on a daily basis every month, so I respect that, what you're doing. And I understand. I was there at one point. So I'm not here to sell myself. I'm just here to express, and, it's impossible for one individual to know everything that there is to know. So that's why it's important that we communicate and we share ideas, okay? That's why
absolutely.
Some days you're the teacher and some days you're the student. So in this particular instant, I don't want to be the teacher. I like to listen more than I like to talk. But what I have to share, I think, is valuable. And I think people can relate and possibly gain some kind of understanding. We need critical thinking in order to progress. We do have our religious beliefs. I personally don't have any beliefs. I learned that believing in things is assuming things to be true without evidence, without proof. And so I'm a realist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any kind of, I studied Buddhism. I studied all these different Abrahamic religions. I've graduated from that, and that's just my personal thing and my journey where it's taken me. So I would say I'm a spiritual teacher. I teach spirituality, and spirituality just means mentality, something that we can learn. Like I said, I'm here to listen to you and see what you have to offer, and see if we can maybe connect, maybe do something in the future. I am a founder. I founded the Christ Consciousness Foundation.org. We're a nonprofit organization, and we promote universal free healthcare, free transportation, free food. Everything is free. Society, everything is manipulated right now, so we're trying to reform the laws and things. The tyrannical government wants to manipulate us and manipulate the resources. So, it may be. I'm not saying I'm beyond your scope, but I'm sure you have kind of an idea of what's going on around us. You have to be self-aware.
Right.
It's the awareness, the awakening. We want to wake each other up, and it's okay. It's okay to agree or disagree. It's not about that. It's just about being open-minded and learning from each other. So I'll go ahead and
I appreciate all your perspectives and your way of life. It sounds like to me. I also, as the name says, Baba Buddha. Buddhism is a practice that is very near and dear to my heart as well. The thing I really like about that is it's inclusive. It's like, you can be Buddhist and also practice, Christianity or practice Judaism or practice any religion, because it's not about exclusion, it's about inclusion. And it's about being able to, find again, it goes back to the self, finding that most empowered sense of yourself, in yourself. And I love what you're about. I think that's great. That nonprofit that is all about feeding people, and I think I feel like if we can get away from the fear that for some reason, if we are making sure that the poor and the hungry are being taken care of, that somehow that takes away from our ability to have a fulfilling full life. And I think if we can get into a place where we have honest conversations, we realize that just by making sure that the poor and the hungry are being taken care of doesn't mean that we're going to feel any lack in our life. In fact, in the actual opposite is true, because if we are contributing to that in some way, it's actually going to be a more authentic, fulfilling experience. I can speak from my own experience that the drinking and partying and drugs and having all the luxurious things around you. They're not truly fulfilling. They're distractions. They again, I don't know how much you know about different things, but there is a thing like our default mode network, right? When there's things in our life that we don't want to deal with, we're going to distract ourselves with drinking, with drugs, with sex, with porn, with, any kind of distraction. And no offense to anybody that likes football, but, knowing every single player's stats is a form of distraction from things in our own life that, need self-healing, right? And so when we allow those distractions to kind of go away for a time period, that's when the default mode network is going to kick on. And that's when we are going to experience some of that discomfort, because we're going to be looking at things that we haven't been dealing with that need to be dealt with. And so, society has really become this huge distraction machine, which is distracting us from being able to sit with ourselves in that discomfort, in that place where the default mode network can kick on, and we can then say, okay, these are some things that I've been ignoring. These are some things that I have not been dealing with, and it's time for me to deal with them. And that's where, yes, my practice as a breathwork facilitator or, a mindset transformational coach comes in, because that's the work that we do. We bring ourselves into a space, again, like the little thing says, taking ourselves away from the turbulence of life. It's still going to be there. It doesn't go away. But bringing ourselves down into that more calm, centered state where we can tap into our more empowered self, and then come to more of a real, true understanding of who we truly are. Because if we're sitting there denying the aspects of ourselves that are not the most perfect sides of ourselves, right? If we're not accepting the sides of ourselves that are not, what we would consider honorable, or the kind of character that we want to be. In other words, the darker sides, right? The sides that is not the one that you want to show to society. But we all have these darker sides of ourselves, especially when threatened, right? When I feel threatened, those darker sides of myself, I'm a veteran from being in the Navy, and I have some PTSD, and mine comes out as anger management, anger issues, rage. So when I feel threatened, that is my go-to, is to become very enraged and angry, right? Those are darker sides of myself. But for me to deny that that's even in existence is to deny a part of myself that is a part of my whole self, right? And so when we allow ourselves to be in that space where the default mode network can say, hey, these are still sides of you that you haven't dealt with, that you haven't healed, based off of either intergenerational trauma or, just your own trauma from your own life. If we're not giving ourselves the time to do that work, then, again, as this says, the cognitive dissonance is going to kick in, and we're not going to be able to understand one another because we're going to. I don't know what you think about that.
I think that's wonderful. You said a lot of things, and honestly, I can relate to almost all of it, if not all of it, except we all have our own traumas that we go through, and we have to learn how to deal with it. Not everyone can heal from their traumas. Either they don't know how to, they're at the end of the rope. This conversation is not for everyone, unfortunately. There's only certain individuals that are willing to help themselves. You can't help somebody that can't help themselves. They have to be willing to learn and change their habits, whether it's eating habits. I think, honestly, in my humble opinion, based on my experience in life, exercising is probably the first step I would take in order to have a transformation in eating habits. Because once you control your eating habits, you can control all the other aspects of your life based off of my experience. So where I used to be almost 400 pounds at one time. Right now I'm about, I was a big guy. I'm about 6'3". I needed to change. I had that cognitive dissonance at one point. I really wasn't thinking for myself. I was just, doing whatever I thought I enjoyed doing. I indulged in entertainment, pornography, addictions. Addictions is a big thing right now, very big, because, I do work with the homeless people. I work at a homeless shelter. That's my passion. I love helping people. So I appreciate it. So I deal with people that have addictions and personality disorders and very traumatic individuals that I speak with. I'm a case manager. I do all these different things that help me understand human beings better. And like I said, once I was able to implement these things in my life, I was able to come out of that cognitive dissonance, So now I'm on a path which is more fulfilling. I do things without wanting things in return. I get self-gratification in helping others. It's just, I'm a life path 33. It's a master number, master teacher, Christ consciousness. You might have heard of the term. It just means a person that's enlightened. And Christ consciousness represents the whole or the collective of our consciousness that we share, because we're constantly sharing ideas. But I don't go into like evil and things like that. I know there's a duality, but I realize that non-duality is the way moving forward. But it's important that we do the exercising, the breathing techniques, the stretching. Yoga is very helpful.
Yep.
The eating habits, and once you control that, and you can get a I would do like a regimen. If you can consistently do that for a period of time, it'll become a habit. And then from there, you can become the best version of yourself on a daily basis, so you can inspire others so they can become the best version of themselves on a daily basis. And it's a ripple effect. We're all helping each other. We need to encourage each other more. We need to be more positive, self-affirmations. It's a lot of information, like I said, this is very deep. We're talking about things that are, that not everyone can have a conversation or even hold the attention to have it, because of the cognitive dissonance. People they can't do it. So honestly, I would love to continue, but I kind of have an appointment I have to attend. But I would love to connect with you in the near future, and then and pick up where we left off, and share some information if we can.
For sure, yeah. Follow me and send me a message. That way we can stay in touch.
Well, I've been following you for quite a while, and we are friends like that. Yeah, there's quite a few people. We communicate with so many people so often. Yeah. People appear, some people disappear for a while, then they pop back up, and we forget, and that's okay. But I will definitely do to reach out to you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming up and sharing, your feelings and beliefs, and I really appreciate what you're doing in this world. It's very important. So, namaste.
You as well. Yeah, continue. Namaste.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Bye
All
bye.
right. Sending you unconditional love, man.
All right. Well, that was cool. Appreciate you coming up, Chris. That was really insightful to hear from someone else who's